Hi YouTube, it's Mike here from Kane Autograph. Welcome back to the channel. If you're into through the mail autographs, collecting cards, you're in the right place. I'm going to run through my returns and then we'll do a drawing from the contest for a Jose Canseco autograph jersey. This contest is to celebrate my 100th video and reaching 200 subscribers. So let's run through the returns. All right, first up, one of the most intimidating pitchers of his era, Dave Smoke Stewart. If you watched baseball in the late 80s, early 90s, you felt this guy. A 2-2 return in 13 days. Something really cool about this, Dave won 3 World Series championships with 3 different teams. He won it with the Dodgers, won it with the A's, and then the Blue Jays. Something you don't see very often. Peak performance from 1987 to 1990, this guy won 20 games 4 years in a row. Doesn't happen like that anymore. From a baseball legend to a football legend, Joe Theismann, 2-2 in 13 days. And most people remember that one moment first, but his career was way bigger than that. Theismann is one of those rare guys who made it at every level. A Notre Dame quarterback, Canadian Football League star, Super Bowl winning NFL quarterback. In 1983, he was named NFL MVP, and during that era, he set nearly every major passing record in franchise history. Up next, Mike Chris, 1 of 1 in 13 days. Chris was one of the top 10 draft picks back in 1977. He was taken 10th overall by the Detroit Tigers. That should really just tell you how highly regarded he was coming out of a junior college. And then he reached the majors pretty quickly. He made his debut with Detroit in 1979, and then he stuck around for 3 more seasons. One of those guys that made the major leagues, but it was tougher to stay there. A 2-2 return from Stan Wall in 13 days, and he played with the Los Angeles Dodgers, appearing in 66 games from 1975 to 1977. Another guy who made the major leagues, but he didn't stick around that long. Here's a guy who did stick around for a while in the major leagues. George Mitterwall, 2-2 in 47 days. And George spent 11 seasons in the majors as a catcher with the Minnesota Twins and Chicago Cubs, playing in nearly 900 big league games. That's some serious time behind the plate. He also played under Billy Martin with the Twins, and then he stayed in the game as a coach and manager, including bullpen coach stints with the A's and Yankees, again under Billy Martin. A 2-2 return from John Staggers in 13 days. He was drafted by the Steelers in 1970, the same draft as Terry Bradshaw and Mel Blount. He really shined with the Packers, leading the team in receiving and punt return yards, and he even ripped off an 85-yard punt return, the longest that season. Next up, Dennis Leonard, and I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers of his era. He spent his entire career with the Kansas City Royals. He was a model of consistency, won 20 games in 1977 and finished second in the Cy Young vote. He was a big game arm for those Royals teams that helped them reach multiple postseasons, and he won a World Series ring with them in 1985. A 2-2 return for Mike Prolly in 13 days. Mike was a left-handed pitcher who spent parts of 6 seasons in the majors, mainly with the White Sox, but he also spent some time with the Cincinnati Reds and Atlanta Braves. He was known for a dependable arm out of the bullpen during the late 70s and 80s, one of those guys teams trusted to eat innings and keep the games close. The next return is from Andre Thornton, 1 of 1 in 49 days, and he signed one of those Diamond King cards that I had sent out. Power hitting first baseman, one of the faces of the Indians in the late 70s, early 80s. He crushed 30 home runs 3 times, drove in over 100 runs twice, 2-time All-Star. A 101 return in 14 days from Ralph Botting, and he signed this triple star card, Futures. He was a left-handed pitcher with the Angels, appeared in 18 big league games between 1979 and 1980 after grinding more than 5 seasons in the minor. He had a rough start, but the story flipped quickly. That same season, he earned his first big league win at Yankee Stadium, coming on in relief after Nolan Ryan left with an elbow issue. A 2-2 return in 14 days from Mike Woodard. Woodard was a middle infielder who spent parts of 4 seasons in the majors playing for the San Francisco Giants and Chicago White Sox. He was a speed and contact guy. It was his job to steal bases, hit for some gap power, and do the little things that people need out of their second baseman. It's always great to add a Hall of Fame member to your collection. Dan Dierdorf, 1 of 1 in 14 days. He was a Hall of Fame offensive lineman who spent his entire career with the St. Louis Cardinals, anchoring that line for over a decade. 6-time Pro Bowler, one of the best right tackles of his era, later became a longtime Monday Night Football analyst. A 2-2 return from Pete Craig in 14 days, and he's got kind of a cool story. He was once cut from his high school team, then he went on to college to throw a no-hitter, and then he went on to lead multiple minor leaguers in innings and complete games. Dave LaPointe was a left-handed pitcher who carved out a long major league career across the 80s and early 90s, but to me he's always going to be a member of that 1982 World Series champion with the St. Louis Cardinals. He came up with the Milwaukee Brewers, then became part of that blockbuster trade that set Raleigh Fingers to the Brewers and LaPointe to St. Louis. He bounced between roles as a starter and long reliever, pitching for a lot of different teams, but he put in a lot of innings with the White Sox and Pirates before calling it a career in the early 90s. Next up, 2-2 from Jerry Bell, 35 days. And you see on the 72 Rookie Stars card, he actually signed over Darrell Porter's nameplate there, but that is his photograph. Whoever did the cards switched the photos around. Bell was a pitcher for the Brewers in the early 70s. Standout season in 1972 when he led the pitching staff with a 1.66 ERA. Second round draft pick of the Seattle Pilots franchise, which later became the Brewers, and he spent 4 seasons in the big leagues. Randy Miller returned 2-2 in 15 days, and he pitched with the Baltimore Orioles and Montreal Expos. Pretty short career. Bill Stein, and he would be a guy that I would call a utility grinder, spending 14 seasons in the major leagues with the Cardinals, White Sox, Mariners, and Rangers. This guy could play just about anywhere. He was an infielder, he was an outfielder, pinch hitter. Made a real name for himself with the Mariners, where he's an everyday third baseman and had multiple 2 home run games. Later with the Rangers, he became one of the best pinch hitters in the American League, setting a record with 7 straight pinch hits. So this next one's kind of interesting. Butch Weiniger, 6 of 3 in 15 days. He was drafted by the Twins, made the majors in 1976 without ever playing in Double A or Triple A. So he went from Single A to the major leagues, which is pretty unheard of. And think about that, especially for a catcher. 20 years old when he made his All-Star team as a rookie, the youngest All-Star at the time. Butch was an excellent defensive catcher. He led the league in runners caught stealing. Later, he went to the Yankees where he caught Ron Righetti's no-hitter. Plus, he caught Phil Niekro's 3,000th strikeout. So what makes this one so interesting is I sent him 3 of the Topps Gold Cup rookie cards. And I know he likes to keep those cards, so I offered him to keep 2, just sign 1 and send it back. He kept all 3, but he sent me 6 other cards back. And my last return of the week is from former Minnesota Viking Todd Stussy, a 2-2 return in 14 days. All right, let's see if we can give away that Jose Canseco autographed jersey. I want to thank everybody who supported me in the TTM community. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Really enjoy the people that I'm meeting, and hopefully you're enjoying getting a lot out of these videos that I do. So let's hit the button and see who's our winner. Stars, Ports Card Hobby, and M7222. All right, Sports Cards Hobbies and DM7222. Congratulations, you're the winner. What I need you to do is send me a message so I know how to send this to you, and we will get that in the mail. Thanks for everybody for watching my video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you later next week with another video.